up here is where the fire has been coming down. You can see the rock quarry that's been in our shot as well. So it's up into the mountain shadows and Peregrine neighborhood, guys. And all the looky-loos need to get out of there because you're just making things worse right now. If I take a slice right on through this smoke plume, we'll actually be able to measure just how high into the atmosphere this smoke plume is. If you're on the east side of Colorado Springs, this looks exactly like the shape of that smoke plume because that's what the radar is seeing here. And if I go ahead and grab my little ID tool here, I can show you that the top of this is up at about 27,000 feet. That's 5,000 feet higher than it was yesterday. That's an indication to us that the fire is burning hotter than yesterday, and so it may be expanding at a greater rate than yesterday as well. There's thunderstorms off to the northwest, up across Douglas and Jefferson County, up around the Castle Rock area and Highway 285. The outflow from those thunderstorms came ripping to the southeast across Douglas County. That initial sort of wall of flame has moved through that area. The fire department is making a stand at Flying W and Majestic. The wind is out of the north-northwest at 55 miles per hour. That's the wind that is pushing those flames into the neighborhoods. We're getting reports now, even on the east side of Flying W Ranch Road, unfortunately, that there are some structures on fire. And what we understand, the fire department is not fighting those because it's just not safe enough. Yeah. The flame walls pass through there. What's happening now is that the fire is igniting from one house to another, and the firefighters on the ground, quote, are calling for mutual aid from anyone that can send it.
Has happened since then, Matt?
Yeah, James, I have several friends that live on that side of town. And here's a picture from that area as the fire was coming into the neighborhood. And I'm talking to someone on Facebook right now that knows of a friend as well that lost their home on Flying W Ranch Road. So when you know someone personally and, you know, what they've put into, you know, building their life, it's tough to start hearing this sort of thing. So, not good.
Let's go out. Do we still have Mindy on the line?
Here's Chuck Wagon. Here's Centennial. Right here is a cluster of apartments that were built about 5, maybe 6 years ago. Right here is Hope Montessori Academy, and we're getting those reports of flames right up against that. It's scary right now with the Neighborhood Weather Network to look at the smoke plume, the pyrocumulus cloud, that we have been tracking over the mountains where no one lived for the last few days, now being generated over the northwest side of Colorado Springs. Obviously, some of the smoke is still originating from the mountain area that is on fire, but a lot of this coming from the northwest side of town. They were very adamant about saying that it was not in Queens Canyon. Well, that changed during the day today. We threw in that thunderstorm that switched the wind direction, and the fire came down the foothills into the mountain shadows in Peregrine neighborhood. Here's the rock quarry there on the north side of town and into the northwestern part of mountain shadows at this point, and maybe elsewhere. We don't know. Notice a little cluster of storms. There are not many of them. They're not that big, just off to the northwest of the fire. Well, those collapsed between 5 and 6 o'clock, and when they did so, they produced an outflow boundary. That's a lot of rain, cooled air heading down to the surface, and once it hits the ground, spreading out in all directions. This gust front that had some 50-mile-per-hour wind with it, we had some folks from Florissant and Divide noting the dark cloud to the north of town and the strong wind gusts. Well, as that gust front got over the Rampart Range, it accelerated even further, and it is that weather change that pushed the fire into Colorado Springs. You see on Skyscan the smoke plume getting shifted eastward. Radar was picking up all of the smoke that got pushed down into town as well. The Broadmoor Hotel, we had the Neighborhood Weather Network looking northward. Before the outflow got into the fire, it was burning as it has been the last few days with a very active smoke plume, but after the westerly wind came in, all of that fire pushed into town. And look at this flare up here. That's some of the homes adding heat to the fire and adding additional lift within the smoke plume late this afternoon and early this evening. It's a very sad thing to watch, knowing what is happening in my neighborhood literally right now. We got exactly what we needed. This was a nice, steady, soaking rain over the burn scar. Ladies and gentlemen, the blues and the greens here indicating that we had a ½ inch of rain across the entire fire. What does that mean? Well, that's 14,000 gallons of water on every acre of the fire. It's about 14 tanker drops on every piece of that fire. 252 million gallons of water. And wouldn't it be nice if that was how we sent the Waldo Canyon fire into the history books? I got this awesome picture I want to share with you. This is from Tim Stuckline, reflecting on the fire over the last week. You see the hillsides on the west side of Colorado Springs that burned in the puddle there from the rain today. And I tell you what, it is just what the doctor ordered. Because we can actually show you, if we fly back behind the Cedar Heights neighborhood, there's one canyon right here that this is the road that goes up to the quarry, so there is a bit of a drop here behind these homes in the Cedar Heights neighborhood. But back behind that is Williams Canyon, and right here is Cave of the Wind, so I'll annotate everything on there. The red line is the fire line as of this morning, and some of the flare-ups that we've been seeing through the morning hours. And let's put me back into that split screen now, guys, and we can sort of talk about, and we zoom in on that. We've been watching the fire sort of come up this, what would be the western flank of this ridge, and now we're seeing some crowning there on the top of that ridge when we step out from the studio and from where Lindsay is, and that's what you're looking at right now in the top left-hand corner of your screen. And that's why they sent some mutual aid to Cave of the Winds, because it's this ridge which is on the west side of Williams Canyon. So you got a big drop off here, then up into the quarry, then another little drop into the Cedar Heights neighborhood. So while it continues to look very active, we just want you to know here, as you see those Cedar Heights homes on the hillside, there's still a couple ridge lines that have to be crossed before it gets to there. But this ridge on the backside of Williams Canyon is a lot more active now, and it looks like later tonight when they do another infrared will be added into the area of the fire. So we just wanted to give you an update on that, actually showing you here via 3D what people are seeing when they look westward this afternoon.
Really seeing some big flames there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Yep, and that's right here.
Okay.
That's right on the top of that ridge, James, that we're showing you.
Wow.
And you can see the quarry that we just pointed out that's sort of in front of where all of that's happening. And the reason it's in front of that is because between where the fire is right now and where that smoke is coming from and the quarry, there is another little dip back in there.